This is the 31st Lap Podcast, recorded live in the studios of FingerLakes1.com in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now, your hosts, Rich Post, John Bonas, Mike Mallet, and Chris Marquardt.
Good evening and welcome at long last to episode number 74 of the 31st Lap. We're going to have William Byron a little bit later on. Jeff Hachmann's going to be stopping by. Some major blue screen issues before we got going. Once again, welcome to the 31st Lap. I'm Chris Marquardt. Joining me in studio tonight, we've got Jay Fish from the Wonderful, the Beautiful Hall of Fame, and also John Bomas. There you go. Finally making a return back to the studio. The newly revamped studio. I don't know if how much you can appreciate this angle there, but you can see most of the studio there in that new angle. This is pretty cool. I'm liking it.
There's a lot more room.
A lot of the cables are run underneath the carpet now so that we don't have any trip over issues and stuff like that. I'm liking it. We're going to have William Byron. We should be having him on the air here momentarily. Like I said, we were running about 15 minutes behind once we fought through some of those technical issues. What's the thumbs up for?
You're good, if that's what you're asking me.
No, I'm asking you to go get on the phone and get William.
I thought we had to call him. What time is it?
It's 7:30.
Good Lord, you screwed around with that crap 15 minutes?
It took that long to get this thing up and running, but we're good now. We're up, we're running, we're good.
I'm excited to hear from William.
Yeah, it's kind of you're familiar a little bit more with some of the stuff that Rolf works on. William is a 15-year-old kid from Charlotte who has come to know racing by way of iRacing, and he's doing very well at it.
Yeah, I think a lot of us got those technical skills when we, like on the original World of Outlaws 2002 video game on PS2. Mm-hmm. I hear current racers talk about that all the time. I had this conversation with Jimmy Phelps no less than 16 times in my life and numerous other racers about how they discovered like tracks like Lernerville and stuff like that on the game. Right. So I think a lot of guys develop those skills on those types of platforms, iRacing or video gaming or whatever.
It's something that Mike always. It's a shame Mike is out with baseball and his season's going to be coming to a close here pretty soon. But he's out with baseball, and he always rashes on me if I ask questions about video games and stuff like that. But the thing is I mean, a regular piece of equipment in a NASCAR Cup garage, right alongside the engine benches and aero package stuff, is going to be a racing simulator. And William was doing very, very well on there, and his dad took him to a track, and we'll let him tell the story here a little bit later on, but basically took him to a track. He got a chance to race a little bit last fall, did well, and now this year he's something like an insane 10 for 10 in outings, and through the month of April he won every race he started from the pole.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic. That's exciting. I'm pumped up to hear about it.
And then we're going to have Jeff Hachmann on a little bit later on, and this is something that you'll probably be willing to talk a little bit about because it's time. We are now just days away from the Hall of Fame inductions and the big race at Rolling Wheels.
5 days, man. I've been counting this thing down for months and months and months, and now it's finally here, and then the Super Dirt Car Series will open up the following night with the Hall of Fame 60. Can't be a better time to be a race fan or be involved in any way in racing.
Joining us on the line now, we've got William. William, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing all right. Hey, I wanted to catch up with you a little bit here. Hopefully we're not catching you at a bad time.
Oh, no. I'm fine.
Great.
Out of school today, so.
Did you say you missed school today?
No, I just got out of school today, for summer.
What? That's a pretty big deal for you, huh?
Nice.
Yes, sir.
Now you can put what's with the sir stuff? What's that all about?
He's being polite.
I like it.
Rolf told me that he said he's gonna kill you with politeness.
My kind of kid. I like that already. You're okay in my book, William.
Okay.
William goes to one of the toughest private schools in Charlotte, and
not anymore.
Well, no, he's done for the summer. But if I understand right, your sister was valedictorian of that?
Yes, sir, she was. She's a senior. She's going to Vanderbilt University, and she had the highest grade point average for her class for all 4 years in high school.
And now being that you got this racing background and this iRacing stuff down, you're a competitive guy, right?
Yes, sir.
So you gonna beat your sister now or what?
School's a little bit different in terms of my competitiveness. Try.
Nice.
Try.
Well, tell us a little bit about your racing background over the last probably 10 months or so. I mean, things have changed drastically from iRacing online in your bedroom to sitting behind the wheel of a regular race car, but you've been finding the same type of success.
Right. Like you said, 10 months ago, it was about last June when I went to a summer shootout race at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and saw that and was definitely inspired. Not that I wasn't already inspired, because at 5 years old I was inspired to race, but I asked my dad if he would give me the opportunity to test a race car, and I was given that opportunity and took full advantage of it by being the fastest person out there, and we made the decision to buy a race car, a U.S. Legend car, and it was perfect that we live in Charlotte, so I was right near all the tracks and had my first race in November at Rockingham Speedway, Little Rockingham, and did well there, qualified outside pole, and finished fourth.
Now that deal there in Rockingham, you guys went there just to shake the car down, right? And then you were among the top 3 in practice times, and then the second session you were right there on the top of the list as well, and you decided to race, and
right,
and you qualified outside front row and finished fourth.
Right, exactly. I got behind my teammate now, Kaz Gralla, who runs in the Pro Series. At the time, he was in Young Lions, and I followed him in practice and learned a ton from that, and qualified outside pole from practicing behind him, and kind of learned the track a little bit more, and ended up racing that race and finishing fourth. I think I got all the way back to about 8th.
Wow. Now, Young Lions, that's what you're in now, and you're sitting second national points?
Yes, sir. Second national points and 10 wins.
10 wins, and 5 through the month of April from the pole.
Yes, 5 wins in April, and one of them, the most important one, I think, was at Caraway. We went to that almost a half-mile track. We went there for the first time, only had 30 laps on the track. Dennis Lambert gave me a great setup, and just went out there, wanted to, just like I did in my first race, wasn't quite sure if I was going to race, but Concord had canceled their race and decided to race because I was keeping up with the fast guys out there, and qualified on the pole. Had to redraw for third position and battled my way up to first and stayed there from about lap 12 to 25.
And what was it like going from, your local track is a small quarter mile, and now you're running someplace like Caraway, which is just about, it's like, 0.45, just about a half mile?
Yeah, 0.45.
So, Rolf tipped his hand a little bit, but I just wanted to hear you say it because I thought it was hilarious. Now, why did you like that track?
I liked it mainly because I felt like I was able to think more inside the race car. I actually thought going from a quarter mile, which you have barely any time to think on the straightaway, you're basically always turning, to a track where you got about 5 seconds of straightaway, and you got time to kind of relax and think about where you can hit your marks and take the lap into segments. I thought that was pretty cool because it helped me learn the track a lot quicker than a quarter mile like Charlotte or Concord.
Can you believe this?
It's blowing my mind right
I know,
now.
right?
I got nothing for this kid right now.
Yeah, we have no business. He's like way above us right now.
It's amazing though. I mean, William, what was the when you went from video gaming into your first night in a car? If you can think back to that very moment when you got up to speed in the car, what was the biggest part of that for you? What was the biggest difference, if any, or did you just kind of feel like right at home right from the minute one because your results are showing that you felt very at home when you got strapped into a real race car?
Definitely not. I definitely didn't feel at home. First of all, I stalled the car about 4 or 5 times. They had to push me up the hill.
Oh, he is
Once
human.
I got into high gear, the feeling of mashing the throttle was like the coolest thing in the world. And that was like the craziest thing. The speed was insane. And but I was able to get a hold of it, not just in that test. I was able to kind of take what I knew, take what I thought was right, and do it. But then, as I've grown in the race car, now I can get in a race car and I think so much, and I think about what's making me fast that now it's propelled me to a totally different level. And at the time, I was just doing what was instinctful, and that I was like that for about 5 months, and now I've gotten in a race car, and I really think about what I just did and think about what's making me fast, and that's the next step I'm taking in my racing career.
We're going to get a little bit more into that internet racing stuff here in a few minutes, but I wanted to ask you about 2 weekends ago at Charlotte, and if you could just take us through that. You had the opportunity to win the accompanying race on the infield during NASCAR's All-Star Weekend, and after that you were introduced during the All-Star introductions to a capacity crowd at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yes, sir. That race, I think I was pretty disappointed in our qualifying effort on Tuesday. We had been third behind Doug Stevens and Tyler Green in practice, and I just got in the throttle too quick on qualifying and qualified 14th. But I had to, dig down and thought about all Wednesday night, thought about what I could do in the race to pass people and how it was going to get through the field. And it turned out that the race had a wreck on the first lap. I got around it. Actually, I think I got back to about 25th. And Rolf actually gave me a hard time because I was letting cars pass me under caution because nobody knew the actual order. So people were passing me under caution, and I was being too nice. And then, so I worked my way back, and I think I got to about 12th or 13th, and then there was another wreck, and then I just kept keeping my nose clean, kept thinking through the race, thinking about where there was going to be a wreck, being cautious around certain cars, and made some passes, and got up to 7th and finished there.
So tell me about what it was like to be on that stage and have all those people kind of riveted on you when you got your name introduced.
That was pretty cool. I thought my first time meeting Tyler Green was pretty cool right before the going on stage, and then being on stage was awesome. They had all the troops in front of us and cheering us on, and I thought it was a great deal for U.S. Legends and Charlotte Motor Speedway to let us go on stage and allot that amount of time for us to be on there. I thought it was really cool.
No, Tyler Green is Jeff Green's son, right? Yes? No?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
He's raced Legends.
Because he runs,
Legend cars in pro for probably 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, because for a long time he's always raced in the Summer Shootout Series at Charlotte.
Right.
You were 7th overall, but you were the first young lion, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Behind 6 pros.
Yeah.
Now, what are the qualifications as far as going from young lions to pros? Is it age? Is it experience? Is it both? None of the above?
Most importantly, wins.
Yeah.
So I think the cutoff last year was 4 wins, and the Kaz had 10 wins, and he got up to pro. So I'll definitely be going to pro next year, and I'm looking forward to that. It's definitely a big challenge, but the kids that have gone up through there turn out to be some of the fastest, like Joey Padgett, Kaz, Ryan Shattuck. They've all been really quick right away in pro.
So you're planning to do the Summer Shootout Series, I assume, this summer at Charlotte?
Yes, sir. We're planning on doing Charlotte, and we just got all the things worked out for Atlanta.
Yep.
And we'll have some races at Anderson, South Carolina on Friday nights, and then if we can, we'll do Saturday nights at Caraway too. Just any racing experience I can get.
Now, is Charlotte doing another big money race like they've done the last couple of years?
Not that I know of. I think the All-Star race was the kind of replacement to big money.
Because I know, they did the $1 million race there a couple of years ago, and then last year they changed the structure, but they still held a race. I can't remember what they called it, but
right.
It was like at the
Big Money
was
100.
Yeah, it was at the end of the shootout series, right?
Right.
So
right.
So
it was,
they aren't.
Well, actually, last year I think it was around July 4th.
Okay.
The year before that, it was in August.
Right. Okay. So right now they don't have anything like that planned this year?
I don't think they do, but they have a time for it. They do it. If they could do it this year, they should do it in August, but we haven't heard anything.
Right.
You mentioned that Ralph was getting after you for being too nice. Where was it that you got in trouble for missing your mark in turn 3 because you were spending too much time looking in the mirror?
I guess that was, let's see, I guess that was Concord one time. I flipped up, and I had the lead on a restart, got a great restart, and then went into turn 3 and missed my mark completely, thinking about if he was going to get to me. And he ended up closing the gap, but I held him off for that one. I think we had another restart after that, and I got a good restart that time, too.
I was thinking about the one where you were watching the race in the mirror because it was such a good race and you missed your mark.
Oh, right. I think, well, we had a really good run going, in like you said, in April, and I guess it was sometime in there. My teammate was battling with Connor Pyle, and I was watching that.
So I'm sure you're have become aware or becoming aware of several big names, young kids, in recent years coming out of Legends cars, namely the Summer Shootout Series, because that series has become pretty popular at Charlotte, and it's produced a lot of names that we're starting to see now show up in the NASCAR ranks coming out of that series. I'm sure you're aware of that, huh?
Right, exactly. I think that was one of the main reasons I got into legend cars, and then I heard people had told me about how hard it was to drive one, and I wanted the challenge, and it's hard. It's definitely one of the hardest. I mean, I've never driven anything else, obviously, but it's one of the hardest things I've done if I compare it to iRacing.
Right.
It's hard to be consistent. It's just really, at tracks like Charlotte especially, it's just really hard to hit your marks every lap,
Yep.
do the same thing, and then tell your crew chief what the car's doing, because you might think it's doing one thing and it's totally different, especially on these quarter miles, and especially at Charlotte. It may feel loose off the corner, but it ends up being really tight, and you don't realize it.
I wish Speed still aired those races. Speed used to show them every year during the winter.
Yep.
So it gave you something to look forward to watching in the wintertime.
Sure.
They would show all those summer shootout races each week.
Right.
In the winter months, and now the last 3 or 4 years they don't show them anymore. I wish they still did, because I enjoyed watching them. It was really good racing. Those guys really get after it there. You get the Bandoleros, you got the different Legends age groups and stuff, the Pro Series and all that, and it was pretty entertaining to watch.
Right. It is. I think I think Fox Sports South has them on now, and they air during the summer.
Yep.
But they don't have the whole race. Like, they have segments of it.
Right.
So, but
Like
it's still
those Lucas
great
oil on the
TV
edge
time
stuff.
for the bandos, the legend cars, all these young kids.
You alluded a little bit to the iRacing stuff, and are you really so good at iRacing that if the people don't know who you are, you won't qualify, you'll start last, get a big lead, then pit just so you can pass them all again?
It gets tough depending on the race, but that's what I like to do that, and I think it's made me better as a race car driver in real life to know how to do that and manage situations, and mainly awareness, knowing how many laps left, and because a lot of people, they get really impatient, and like I love how at my local track at Concord, they have a thing where you can look at what lap you're on, and it's always great to know what lap it is, so you know how to pass and when to pass and to be patient.
Now, Concord, you're running on the big track, right?
Not the big track. There's a quarter mile.
Okay, that's what I wondered, because I knew they had 2 tracks on the facility.
Yeah.
That big track is very, very unique.
The half mile would be pretty treacherous.
Yeah, that's a unique place. It's a really different. It's kind of a weird layout. I don't know if
Yeah,
I don't know if either of you two guys have seen it before, but
Is that the track that's got that funny dog leg?
yeah,
almost into
it's
the
yes.
turn? It's
Hooters
really
Pro
deep
Cup
down the backstretch.
The Hooters Pro Cup
Yeah.
series used to go there all the time, and it's very unique.
That's
I've
kinda
seen
like
the
the way
place in
Waterloo used
person
to be
once and saw some practice there. I never saw a race, but I saw some practice there a few years ago when we were down for the World Finals at Charlotte. And during the afternoon, one of the days, they had practice going on because they were racing the same weekend for the Wheel Modifieds. So we went over just to check the place out because it's right outside of Concord, out of the village, and saw a little bit of practice. And it's really unique. I'd like to see a race there someday. It'd be pretty cool.
How'd you get into the iRacing stuff anyway? I mean, how'd that all come about? Is that just something you said, I decided I'm going to take a crack at this?
Mainly just because I saw videos of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Talking about it, and I thought that would be the closest situation I could get to racing a real car, and I didn't figure I would be racing a real car, so I thought I could learn a lot about the sport and be able to understand it more through the setups and through that, and then racing people. And so I really enjoyed it for a lot of time during the summer and during the winter, and I just did that for about a year and a half and then got in a real car.
You're really doing well when you drive a truck in iRacing. Is there anything you can take from iRacing the truck that you can apply to the way that your Legends car handles?
I guess it's kind of hard to drive the truck center off, and it's kind of the same in real life, but mainly I think just learning the basic things of racing a car, like basically getting through the center, what things make you fast at certain tracks, and just learning the limits of the car and the track at different places. And I think that's just what applies. I think racing door to door with people and being aware of where you can hit your marks to beat people, and I think that's what it helps with. Nothing really directly translates from iRacing to a real car, but it's great training for knowing certain things about racing and just keeping in the seat, I guess you could say, in some type of racing when you're not in a real car.
Kyle Larson sure subscribes to that. He follows that to the letter. Kyle Busch does the same thing, and there's no better training than seat time. Once again, talking on the line with William Byron, 15-year-old racer from Charlotte, who went from racing the online simulation iRacing into a budding and quite successful career with the U.S. Legends division down in the southeastern part of the United States. What are your goals from here? I mean, you're doing well. I assume that your next step is you're going to want to move up either into the pro division or into some of the late model divisions. And what do you ultimately hope to accomplish?
Right. Ultimately, just get to NASCAR. I mean, basically that's what I want to do. But next year, in terms of next year plans, I think by the end of this year, I want to have a chance at winning the national championship. I think we're a heavy favorite now. Hopefully get to 25 wins by August or September, and then go into that national race in September in Lake Erie and win that. And then from there, the pro division for Legends at Winter Nationals and the Winter Heat at Charlotte, and then the summer shootout there. And then along with that during that year, because I wouldn't be racing pro around Concord, I'd be moving up to late models and testing late models probably as early as October or November of this year.
Wow.
And then just racing that from probably 16 to 17, and whatever happens from there, I'd continue to grow my career.
So your aspirations are going to a full fendered stock car type of race car? No open wheel stuff in the plans?
I wouldn't do open wheel. No.
No?
Not at all.
Dang. Where we're from, it's mostly dirt tracks. The asphalt stuff is an exception to the rule. We've got Oswego, we got Spencer, Lancaster, Hachmann,
Bethel. I mean, we've got some.
They're around. We just don't.
We're more known for our dirt tracks.
We're more known for our dirt stuff.
Right.
Oswego would be the most famous one.
So I mean, is it intimidating at all? I mean, because you're right on the leading edge of it. You're just getting started. You're starting to get all the recognition. You're starting to win races and stuff like that. You look at all the people that you run against that were sort of dubbed the next big thing and stuff like that. That all of a sudden, for one reason or another, one misstep and that rocket ship they were riding on stopped. I mean, is there anything that you try and learn from that, or is there anything that's kind of in the back of your mind that makes you think, man, this is so fleeting, I got to make it right because there's only one or two of these rings that I'm going to be able to grab?
Right. I think most importantly, I'm pretty patient with what comes along, and the opportunities that I have, whatever it may be in the future, I'm going to be patient with it, and I'm going to look with an open mind and evaluate what's the best decision to make, because I heard something that Clint Boyer said, and I watched a video on it about a young kid taking an opportunity too quick, and I don't want to make that choice that's too quick, and I feel like I'll know when I'm ready, and I just got to be patient with that, because if I continue to improve and I continue to have success, then the opportunities will come.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah,
you
sums it
you
up,
definitely
man.
don't want to make the mistake, like you said, of moving too fast, because then, you could end up taking 3 steps backwards.
Sure.
We've seen too many people,
Oh,
especially the younger kids. They get pushed into situations, not maybe necessarily their fault. They get pushed into situations too early, and they're just not ready for that. So, if you know in your mind and your heart that you're ready, then you're ready.
When you talk about taking your time and being patient when you're moving up the ranks, at the same time, I got to believe that there's tracks that you like when you're iRacing that you're really chomping at the bit to get the opportunity to race on in an actual car. What one are you really looking forward to, and what one do you really not want to have to do?
That's a great question. I'd say, obviously, I'd love to race Charlotte. That's like my ultimate goal would just be to get in a truck car or a truck, whatever it may be, maybe a nationwide car, and get in an opportunity to win, and that would be amazing. That's like where my roots are. And then I think also Martinsville. Martinsville was the first racetrack that I went to on the Cup Series circuit and watched a race there, and I think that would be so cool just to experience that, and it might even come next year or the year after that with late models at the big race they have there, and I would just soak that opportunity up, because that is just amazing for me to be able to race a track that I watched and dreamed about ever being on there in a car. That would be awesome.
And where are you kind of a little bit hesitant to go?
I guess Bristol. If I ever got the opportunity to run Bristol, I think what I've heard about it, I don't know what it would be like. But honestly, there's not a track that I really would. There's no track that I would fear necessarily. Right. There's some tracks that I'm better at, but I tend to be able to learn most of them, like almost to a good ability. But I think Charlotte and Martinsville would be my most favorited tracks.
Bristol's definitely
nice for Bristol?
It's definitely a different animal.
No, I hit the wall in my legend car quite a bit.
So you're not too nice for it then?
No.
Okay. All right, as long as we got that clear.
Right. Yeah.
Now, what number do you carry on your Legends car?
Number 25.
25. Nice.
What's the story behind 25?
Is there one?
I guess I liked it because it's a Hendrick number.
Haha.
Mainly that's the only reason, because Jimmy Johnson's my favorite driver, and I liked him even before he won a championship, and 48's already taken, and it's a pretty common number, so
yes.
I picked 25 because it's a Hendrick number, and I feel like, maybe if I make it to that level, then that'll be my number, because nobody's come along right now that has that number.
Yeah, I'll bet Jimmy's pretty popular down there in that area to kids.
Yeah, he wins a lot.
He's got to be.
You had to have some flaws, so we got that out of the way.
Can't be 100% perfect, right?
Can't be 100%. Rolf will get you to pick a good driver. Like, I don't know. I didn't really have much to follow that up with.
Do you follow primarily the NASCAR set, or are you tracking and and following the careers of guys like the Kyle Larsons of the world and the way they're kind of coming up through the ranks. I mean, Larson was an open wheel guy, and accomplished a lot in midgets and sprints, and now he's come along into the stock car world here more recently, kind of taking that by storm too. Are you tracking what he's been up to and following his career?
I think I'd stay on the track of stock cars. I don't think, first of all, I don't think my mom or my dad would let me run sprint cars because they're just so dangerous. And then I don't really want to run dirt that much. Maybe get an opportunity to run like a late model on dirt sometime, but that would be later down the road. But I think I'd stay on asphalt, definitely. I think Legend Cars is teaching me enough about control that I wouldn't have to go that route, and I think late models will teach me how to race even more with a big car, and then I think up from there to K&N, and after that NASCAR.
Yeah, never say never, because who knows, 5-10 years down the road you might get an invite by Tony wanting you to come to the Prelude to the Dream, so you don't want to turn that down.
That's right.
He just said he doesn't like dirt.
Hey, never say never.
That's right.
We love
So,
dirt.
You don't have your driver's license yet, right?
No, I don't.
So when you go for your road test, what are you going to say to the instructor?
Hold on to
Well,
He's going to teach
for
him.
my permit, I actually told before I drove off, I told the lady that I race cars.
How'd that go over?
Never said a word during the whole thing, so that was good.
Nice.
Hang on. Watch this.
Yeah, he tries to imitate the Jeff Gordon Pepsi commercial.
Yeah, was your road test like the Jeff Gordon Pepsi commercial?
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Nice.
You're gonna power slide in your parallel park. They may mark you off for that.
Yeah. I think I might get. Hopefully, I
would
get through okay.
You would be forced to make attempt number 2 somewhere down the road, guaranteed.
Nothing wrong with that.
So, do you know who Oliver North is now?
Yes, I do.
He was at Charlotte doing the introductions, and Rolf's like, "Hey, go get your picture with this guy." And
He probably said,
he's like,
"Who's
"Well,
that?"
who?" And Rolf goes, "It's Oliver North."
Who?
So go ahead, share with everybody just to prove and make sure that Rolf taught you correct.
Well, my dad told me that Oliver North was one of the most famous military people involved with Ronald Reagan. So that's my basic knowledge.
Your dad's a good man. He's a true Republican like me. I like that guy. Your dad's a good man.
Too bad Mike wasn't here for that.
It would be a spirited debate.
He would have ate that up. He'd have been fine.
Oh, brother.
Wow. What haven't we covered? I mean, what else do we need to know about what you're doing down there, and what else don't we know about William Byron that we need to get out there?
Basically, I'm a pretty normal kid. Came up through iRacing like any other kid can, and just got the opportunity to race, and I take full advantage of it, and I'm really thankful for that opportunity. And Dennis Lambert's my crew chief, if anyone wants to know that, and he takes care of my car all the time, and he's a great crew chief and gives me a great car every race. And my parents I have to thank for all their support and all their benefits I get with that, and the coaching on and off the track. And I think one word of advice for anybody that's coming up through the ranks, and if you ever get upset or anything, don't ever take it out after the checkered flag. I've never been one to do that, but in my first couple months somebody did it to me, and I learned what it's like to be done that way, and you don't want that to happen. And that's just one word of advice for anyone racing. I think never, ever do anything after the checkered flag.
Yeah, using a race car as a weapon is not a good thing.
Never.
Yeah, it doesn't end well.
No, it doesn't.
Right.
Especially as you matriculate into the upper divisions when sponsorship becomes more of a thing too.
Yes.
You seem like a really well-spoken guy, and really thankful for the opportunities you're getting. Is there any sponsors that you want to give a shout out to, or is this pretty much a privately funded thing? You're doing an awful lot of racing. It's got to get pretty expensive.
Right now it's just privately funded, and I think when we get to the next level with late models, it'll become definitely a publicly funded, some type of sponsorship if, we can get there. And but definitely looking for sponsorship, and if there is a good opportunity coming along, then we'll definitely take it.
So tell me, because I don't think he's listening right now. Tell me what's one of the things that, like, you got to have one pet peeve that Rolf does that kind of gets on your nerves.
I guess
You're gonna get him in trouble.
I guess when he talks to me too much at the racetrack, a little bit. A little bit of a pet peeve. Get out of the car and he talks to me a little bit too much. Even when my dad's near the car during the race, I don't say anything. He'll try and talk to me, and he just gets the message that I really don't want anyone to talk to me. So basically, before races, I don't have anyone talk to me. I just sit there, just kind of zone in.
That's a racer mentality right there.
Yeah, buddy.
He's already got it.
Yep. One of the interesting things that Rolf told me, Rolf had a really good car one time at Charlotte and was turning something like 14 threes in the Legends car. And you were turning 13 and change. What was your lap times?
At Charlotte?
Yeah.
At Charlotte, we turned like 17-1.
I'm sorry, I can't think of the track then. I'm blanking on it. Rolf told me about this track that he was at, and Williams' lap times were just crushing that. They were like, I think you were under 14. You were like 13.9s or 13.8s or something like that. It was crazy.
Oh, that was Concord.
Concord. That was
Concord. I ran a 13:58, which is the track record.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
So the student is definitely learning from the teachers. Any place that people can connect with you if they want to drop your line and just say good luck?
You can go to WilliamByron.com, and I also have a Facebook page, which is William Byron Racing, and you can learn everything you want from those two sources.
Excellent, man.
Cool.
Hey, I appreciate your time tonight, and we look forward to catching up with you here down the line. We certainly wish you the best. It was a good time hanging out with you.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you having me on.
You got it, man. Good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Good luck.
Kid's
Bye.
awesome. I got a new favorite NASCAR driver 5 years from now.
You never know.
You're gonna have the first William Byron number 25 shirt.
I need a T-shirt. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get them pre-ordered right now if I can.
You just never know these days because they're getting younger and younger when they're moving up to the bigger ranks. And
yep. And talk about a kid who's got his stuff together. You know what I mean?
Very well spoken.
Yep. I think he sees the the possible the pitfalls that can happen when people rush.
Yeah,
into stuff and
or they do negative things like using the car as a weapon. How many 15-year-old kids do you hear advising the world to not do that?
Very often.
Right?
Yeah, he's a good kid. I was excited when Rolf was setting that up and he was telling me some of the stuff about him and all the stuff that William's done. Again, William Byron, 15-year-old, races down in Charlotte, and he's running the U.S. Legends cars, and he's number 2 in the National Young Lion division, and looking for big things to come from him.
I mean, a lot of your big name drivers that are, the last couple of years have come into like your K&N Pro Series, K&N East, and then into the trucks or nationwide, have come out of the Legends cars, especially in the Charlotte area because they're so popular down there, hugely popular.
Oh yeah.
Down in that area in NASCAR land, because a lot of the drivers and crew guys and stuff who live down there, they're raising their children down there and they're putting their kids in these cars and stuff, starting them in bandoleros and then up to through the different ranks of the Legends divisions and things, and you're starting to see a lot of those kids now starting to graduate into what we generally watch on TV every weekend.
Heck yeah.
Guys like David Reagan come from that kind of stuff. Darrell Wallace Jr. now races for Kyle Busch or whatever in a truck series, and he come from that, and there's a whole bunch of guys kids that have come from that stuff and have made their way up into the NASCAR ranks now. So it's pretty cool. You never know what the future holds or where this kid will end up one day. Seems like it's a bright future. Yeah, when he said he has no interest in going to dirt, I take it with a grain of salt. He's only 15. When 25.
He
30
said
years,
no.
25, 30 years old, who knows what kind of interest will peak. You never know. He might try that one.
Or
day.
opportunities. You never know.
If he gets a chance to go, let's say like these guys that get a chance to go to do the Prelude, and Tony invites them.
Sure.
After they do it, they're like, holy crap, that's a lot of fun. I want to go try that a little more often. And then you find out that they're doing it 4 or 5 times a year.
And he seems like the kind of guy who's really geared in on making a living as a race car driver.
Yeah, failure's not an option. He's going to make a living driving a race car.
One way or the other, and it might be a deal where he can make a living driving a dirt late model.
Yeah.
You'd like to think so. Who knows?
I mean, in his region, it'd be a little tougher because he's surrounded by asphalt tracks.
Yeah, he's been exposed to it.
In that region, that part of the country, it's mostly asphalt racing.
Yes, sir.
Which makes sense. That's what he's interested in.
Oh, yeah.
But never say never.
That's right. That's right.
Might try it and find out you'll love it.
We got to get Jeff.
Calling Jeff now?
Yeah, well, I mean, we got to squeeze him in, and then Jay's got his thing, and we still got to recap Victoria. I mean, Jimmy Phelps winning out there at the Victoria 200 Utica Rome Speedway.
And we got to talk about some upcoming stuff too.
Yeah, we'll try to shoehorn everything in. We did get the late start, but we're going to try and get everything in still in that same time frame.
This couple of weeks has been amazing. What an amazing couple of weeks to be going to the races. I was lucky enough to go down there on Sunday and see Phelps get his first big marquee win. I mean, he's won other good-sized races, but I think he'll tell you the same thing. The Victoria was one that he wanted to get knocked down, put behind him, and that $10,000 to win race was huge.
Yeah, I'm excited for him. I mean, that's cool. That's a good turn for him. He needed something like that. I mean, last year we started doing the count on, or not last year, 2 years ago, back when we had we were over there on that wall with a card table doing this by Camp Light when we first started this. Going from the 2 weeks before Syracuse up until like Eastern States, and this I guess must have been 2010. Jimmy Phelps had the potential to win somewhere around like $60,000 or more, and he was finishing up front, second or third. Sure. He was leading and then getting past, or things were breaking and stuff like that, and it beat him up. Mm-hmm. It beat him up.
Yep.
Bad. That's mentally on you, and he was able to rebound, and he had a good follow-up season, but again, he came up short. That was that year that he really made a good run at the points championship and ran well in Syracuse, but again, didn't do it. So hopefully this is a good sign of things to come for him.
I was at Syracuse the year he was leading, and his tire blew the side panel off his car.
Right.
Part of his tire actually landed up on the cinder track right next to me as I was shooting, and I was just like, wow, I just watched a guy lose $50,000 on the strength of a Hoosier. Yeah. So it was good to talk to him before the race. I was lucky enough to kind of pick his brain a little bit, and this is a guy who really needed this confidence booster, and it was good to see him get it.
And it's well deserved too. I mean, and he didn't have an easy path there. We'll get into that a little bit, but on the topics of easy paths, there is no easy path coming up for Jeff Hachmann in the next week. Jeff, tell us a little bit about Jeff Hachmann from Dirt Car, working towards this big opening day for Rolling Wheels Raceway Park. Whoops. Hey, Jeff, I'll put you on speakerphone now.
Okay.
There you go.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Tell us a little bit about getting ready to go for Rolling Wheels coming up. You guys have been building for this for the last 8-10 weeks now, and now you're starting to see some fruits of your labor.
Yeah, we're excited about it being right around the corner and the series opener for sure. I think a lot of people questioned when we first changed the date to a midweek show, but I think the formula is going to come together. We got nothing competing with us. We're not competing against the Indy 500, Daytona 500, Utica Rome. It's Wednesday night standalone. Weather preliminary reports are 70 degrees and sunny, so it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. And there's nowhere else for the modifieds to go that night. And they can come open up the Super Dirt Car Series, and then we got the Sportsman also, and the Mid-State Vintage Stock Car Club.
What are you looking at in terms of car count? You getting a lot of calls on people looking to come, or has it been quiet?
We got some sportsmen coming from Albany, Saratoga. We actually have some modifieds coming from Albany, Saratoga that would not necessarily chase the series. We got a sportsman coming out of Vermont. We're getting a lot of calls. I mean, I always hate to throw numbers out there because I'm always a little leery of jinxing myself.
Well, don't do that then.
I would say it's probably going to be the best car counts we've had since the Stars and Stripes 2 years ago.
Well, that's
That's positive.
That's a good thing right there.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, there's nothing competing. So the Alan Johnsons, the Ryan Phelps, of the world, and you can go down through the list. If you're a racer, you don't want to take a night off, and I can't imagine that they're going to skip the 5/8 mile under the lights for the Super Dirt Car Series and all the cash.
Yep.
So what's it like now that you've gone through it, having to orchestrate a date change like this and get everybody to buy into the plan that you guys are selling?
Well, I mean, it takes a lot of education, and I know you guys hear me say that word all the time, but if you look at all our advertisement or listen to it or see it on TV, lots of times you'll see advertising and they'll say June 5th, June 5th, June 5th, July 3rd, whatever it may be. Well, now everything says Wednesday, June 5th. And, being the Super Dirt Car Series opener makes it a little bit easier to throw that out there and do that date change because, those guys want to be a part of it and go for the big money.
I got a question. Last time you were on a couple weeks ago, I had told you that I'd caught you mowing the lawn at the wheels.
Yeah.
And you were shocked, or not really shocked, but you were glad that I brought that up, that I actually saw you, because I know you said you take a lot of ribbing. People don't think you're out there actually mowing the lawn. So when will you be out there mowing the lawn this week?
Are you kidding me?
I was already out there. I was out there last Saturday all day. I was out there Monday, Memorial Day all day. I'll be out there again Saturday and Sunday this week. Right now I'm standing in the parking lot at Quaker Steak and Lube. We got the show car out here, and got a promotion going on for 95X Summer Concert Series. It never stops. Whether it be handling staff, handling promotion, handling the grounds. I take a lot of pride in people saying, man, this place is beautiful. It means a lot to me. So the only way to really get it done right is lead by example.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'll have to make sure I bring a camera next time. I'll get a photo.
The place is the place is certainly a crown jewel. I mean, it's every time.
Tell you what, something I learned too is I don't care how much Italian you got in you. Make sure you bring sunblock when you're going to mow all day on Memorial Day.
It'll light you up. There's no place to hide from the sunshine.
No, that's a big ass parking lot to mow in the sun.
Oh, I know, but man, does it look good after you. I don't call it mowing. I call it shaving it down.
When you've got as big an event as you've got here that you're trying to put together, and you've got all the planning that goes into it, do you have the opportunity to take in much racing at this point of the year? Because there's a lot of good racing here the last couple of weeks.
I actually went to Utica Rome on Sunday night. On Monday night after I mowed all day. I got done, left Elbridge at 5:30, stopped at the house, showered, and went out and handed out cards and put up some yard signs and gave away a couple tickets as part of the 50-50. And Mike and Shane helped me promote the Hall of Fame 60 with Gene Cole's blessing. So, it was, some good co-promotion and give Gene the same opportunity at Rolling Wheels when he wants.
Yep. That's good to see.
Did you feel fairly well received by the drivers and stuff as well?
What's that?
Did you feel fairly well received by the drivers going into some place that's kind of neutral territory like Utica Rome?
Very well received by everybody, but funny story is, you walk in and if I could have a buck for everybody who said, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah, first thing I want to know is probably, what are you going to do? You going to take us over?
I take the week off, but I'm a race fan like everybody else. I also take a lot of pride in promoting what we got coming up, and you know what? When I went to Albany Saratoga's opener too, I'll get out there and catch the racing. I mean, the funny thing about it was, quick story. Jimmy Phelps, I went down and shook his hand in Victory Lane, and he called me the next day. He goes, I had to call you. He goes, I was thinking about it. He goes, I never thought I'd be shaking your hand on the track at Utica Rome. And And I thought that was pretty funny. I mean, at one point, we were up in the tower. It was Joe Scott Nicky, myself, Dan Harpel, Jeremy Corcoran, Gene Cole. So, I mean,
who's who?
They all think we fight. We're all in it for the same thing, though. Fans and great racing.
What were you gonna say?
Nothing.
Oh,
I'm good.
You a little excited about Rolling Wheels, given the prospects of Matt Shepard running as well as he is, and all the guys that were chasing the 98H?
Oh, I'm really excited. Matt just did a media day for us yesterday. I don't know if you caught it, but we had him out at Carnegie Cafe in Liverpool. We had TV crews out there and Post Standard, and he had the car, and he did some interviews, and he was on the YNN News last night and CMY Central, and so kind of cool. Love Matt, love Jimmy, but I'm excited to see somebody else start to go after this championship. It's always good to be champion, and it's always good to watch the guys go after the champion. So. I'm looking forward to see who starts to set their mark on Wednesday night to say, you know what, you may have won 3 in a row, but I'm here this year.
Brett Hearn.
Yeah.
Brett Hearn's has got a chip on his shoulder. The way he finished out the year last year, I think he felt as though he had something to prove after that medical setback he had. He feels as though he kind of left one on the table.
Well, he for sure, obviously, any year is going to be a favorite, but going into the season, that was my pick too, just because he ended so strong last year. I expect him to be good.
I know Jimmy's been around for a while and been up there in the hunt and everything, but I don't know. I had a gut feeling on Sunday night. We all made our picks up there, and I know he started back in the field, but I picked Jimmy Phelps, and lucky enough to win that one. But he had a fire in his eye when he got out of the car that night. I don't know. He could be ready to make a move.
Are you going to start making predictions like Humpy Wheeler?
No. That would put me in the Roger Slack category. Roger is the one that knows Humpy predictions. I can't take that away from Roger.
Actually, I do have to come back to, you mentioned Matt Shepard a minute ago, and John was telling me before we started the show that the mower, I haven't seen it myself, that the mower over there at Rolling Wheels was actually painted up like Matt Shepard's car since he's won so much money from Dirt Car. Is that?
Yeah, that's a good idea, though.
Yeah, I could see the Superman symbol from Route 5.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. And let me tell you, he talks about how when he used to not be able to win there, but he has a pretty tough time losing there anymore.
I think he's won the last three over there, and every one of those has led to a title.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So there you go. There's your new tagline for Rolling Wheels.
He's been pretty damn good the last few years.
Wasn't there a track in Cup at one point? They said usually the guy who wins here wins the championship.
Sure.
Yes, there
Maybe
was.
That's how Rolling Wheels is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but no, we're really excited. Looking forward to the fans coming out. I mean, tomorrow, if you purchase tickets by tomorrow, you get yourself a free fan pit pass. So, that's pretty good value. I don't know if you, I think you guys get all the releases, but Julia did a great job of a release called Fan Experience, or the theme was Fan Experience. And I've been talking to different media folks, and I think we take for granted because we do it as for a living, or we do it for fun, or we travel and everything. But there's an extreme value to a ticket at a dirt car race. I mean, you think of any big event you go to, you pay for parking. You pay $4, $5 for a hot dog. You pay $8 for a beer. You don't have an opportunity to go in the pits.
Yep.
You can do that. You can do that. You can get a $2 Hoffman hot dog. You can get a bucket of beer for $13. Parking is free. You can get in the pits if you buy early. I'm making a push on that, and hopefully some people start to see the value in it, and, that'll help the fan base.
Why don't more racetracks charge for parking the way that the other big events do?
You know what? I don't have that answer. I don't know. I think it's something that, other than Super Dirt Week, people aren't used to paying for parking.
Yeah, I mean, really, there's only two times.
You know how tough it is when there's change, how people go crazy over the smallest of things. Can you imagine adding a $5 parking pass?
Yeah, I mean, even if it was $1 to show up at Rolling Wheels, $1 to park, people would be through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's just not what's ever happened.
People, I get questioned all the time. It's $25 for our reserve camping / parking in Term 1 and 2. What do you mean? I paid $25. You got a car of 7.
Yeah, right.
You got to buy a ticket, too? Yeah, you got to buy a ticket. You got a prime parking spot. I'm allowing you to bring food in there.
Right.
Yeah,
that's the big thing.
That's the thing. You can bring all your stuff.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Oh.
And unless anyone think that's not a setup, I don't think that there's any reason for anybody to think that Dirt Car is considering making anybody pay for parking at Rolling Wheels or any other event. And I don't think any dirt track would do that either. I mean, I just don't see that.
No, it's the only, from what we're used to in our racing circles, it happens twice a year: Super Dirt Week in Eastern States, and that's pretty much it.
Eastern States does charge too.
Yeah, they always have. Yeah.
The internet would explode.
Plus Balmas, I told Balmas if we do ever start charging for parking, that he was going to be the parking guy, and he said he'd quit, so I couldn't do it.
I'd do it if I get a portion of the proceeds.
You'd get him to run that mower faster than you get him to be a parking attendant.
$2 parking, I get half.
The luxury of the cash event, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. So, I mean, have you already started looking to the next event, or you've pretty much solely dialed in on Rolling Wheels at this point?
Well, funny you ask. Today I met with a group that to put together a co-op advertising program in Ottawa, Canada for Super Dirt Week in October. So,
nothing like thinking ahead.
People think that I'm just worried about the 5th. No, I don't know if is Mallet on the show tonight?
No, he's not here again. He's playing baseball again.
That's why you can hear other people talking.
I actually talked to Mallet already about some stuff for July 3rd, and it's everything all the time. Always thinking ahead. As soon as you rest on your laurels, you get bit in the ass. So.
Yep.
But we're already planning, already looking to see what we can do to make those events bigger. But surely not losing focus on Wednesday night.
Who? Before we'll be letting you go here in just a minute. I know you got other stuff that you got going on tonight.
He's got a concert to watch.
Yeah, that's right. Who are you the most surprised to have heard from that's suggesting that they're coming to Rolling Wheels?
Well, you know what? I would say it'd be pretty cool if Frank Cozy runs, because I heard he's trying to get a car or run on Wednesday night.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. Pretty cool. The sportsman driver out of Vermont, Scarborough.
The Jet.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yep.
Well, let's hope so.
I believe Matt DiLorenzo's coming.
Oh, Matty D.
Albany,
Cool.
Saratoga. So, I mean, it's the guys that usually don't come out.
Well, that's the luxury of being midweek, right?
What I was more surprised with, and not surprised is the wrong word, but to answer the question as you asked it, you know what? The drivers and the electricity in their voice when they talk about Wednesday night is what I'm excited about. I mean, Nick Guerrieri, I call him the clan leader, the sportsman out there in Canandaigua. I just talked to him on Facebook. I'm like, you and the boys coming? Oh yeah, we can't wait. Stuff like that. I mean, it wasn't always like that a couple of years ago. There was always concerns or things going on, and sitting there talking to Shepard yesterday, and he's like, you know what, Wednesday night's the best thing you guys ever did. You're going to get Alan, and you're going to get Ryan, and you're going to get this, and you're going to get that. And I'm like, it just sounds, even the drivers are, it sounds like a big event. I can talk about it being a big event, but of course I'm going to want to. I'm the track promoter. But you know what, when other people talk about it, or other people say your track looks great, or your racing's great, or your facility looks great, that's what means the most to me.
Yep. Agreed.
So,
Well,
but we're looking forward to it, and looking forward to you guys getting out there and making Bahamas work hard.
there you go.
Let's not get carried away.
I can't wait to get back. I can't wait to get back to Rolling Wheels to Shoot. It's one of the best places from a photographer's standpoint to photograph. There's no bad light in the place. You know, before dark, after dark, it can be, you know, literally pitch black out, but the lighting there is so
the
good.
lights are brilliant
Yep.
off the fresh mowed grass.
Yes. God, he's proud of that friggin' lawnmower,
it's
isn't he?
glistening.
I love it. You know, and it's just a remarkable place to come and shoot, and you know, of course, it's it's the Hall of Fame 60, man. We're pumped up for it.
That's right.
Well, we're pumped up to have you out there, and it's going to be awesome. And it all. I mean, that's the start of the opener, but the night before with the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, I mean, is really where it all kicks off. And I know a lot of the drivers that are coming on Wednesday are coming in a day early so they can go to that on Tuesday night. And that'll be a cool deal, you know, induction ceremony and racing in prime time, back to back.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, we've been so excited about that. Just talking to some of the guys at Utica Rome on Sunday, I made my rounds around the pits and all the guys who, you know, acknowledged the Hall of Fame induction ceremony on the Tuesday night, and, you know, mentioned they were going to try to make it out, you know, depending on how their weekend went, you know, going into the race, the Hall of Fame 60, the following night. You know what I mean? A lot of guys just mentioning it. You know, drivers taking the time out to say something about it. And that's the beautiful part about getting out to as many different tracks as I do. And I think, Jeff, you've brought this up before. You're making a concerted effort to get to more different events outside of just the rank and file. I mean, it was great to see at Utica Rome.
I was going to go down to Orange County until they rained out for the sprint cars. I'm actually going to Lernerville for the firecracker. I'm going up to Brighton. Brighton in mid-June for the World of Outlaw late models.
Nice.
So, I'll be bouncing around, checking things out, working, helping where I can, putting up signs, mowing the lawn.
You got to be a prophet and spread the word about this thing, man. And you know, I know
I got to get Gravely to sponsor me, I think.
That's fantastic.
Next time you're out there on that mower, I want to see a picture on Facebook.
All right, that's good.
Yeah, tweet that.
Tweet that. I'm not the Facebook kind that takes pictures of myself. So.
No duck lips for Jeff Hachmann.
Yeah, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see any pictures of your mug in the restroom on Facebook, because that seems to be the popular place.
So,
take a picture in the restroom.
Yeah.
Jeff, I'm going to save you from this. I appreciate your time tonight.
Hey, Jeff, how about a shout out for some?
Appreciate you guys. Appreciate all you do. Look forward to seeing you. And as always, you need anything, give me a shout.
You're the man, Jeff. I appreciate
you got it.
Well, Jeff, I think
hey, guys.
I think Jay had one more thing before we let you go.
Hey, one unique thing that Jeff really does that I thought was pretty cool, the Safety Clean connection. A lot of the drivers talk about that as well. Why don't you talk a little bit about that great sponsorship and some of the other partners you got, bro?
Yeah, Safety Clean came on board. I had a good relationship with the national director of motorsports when I was down at Homestead Miami Speedway, Drew Patey, who's still with the company. And, so I kind of, Safety Clean came on board and did that point fund, and I kind of regrouped with Drew, and he got me in contact with the local people here, and they said, oh, yeah, we'd love to entertain some clients and put a sign up, and you could give us some tickets, and that's really cool. And I said, okay, that's all well and good, but I want to set the bar. I don't want to be like the other tracks.
Yep.
I said, I want you to create a service similar to what you do in the Cup garages here at Rolling Wheels. And you know what? I'm not quite sure if everybody gravitated to it last year, but I think year two, they'll start to realize, they need a can of brake cleaner, they go in and get it. They need to dispose of something, they can go do it.
Yeah.
They need a parts washer, they can go over and use it. That's for them. It's for the drivers. I'm a big fan guy, so I'm always looking to do stuff for the fans. But I said, you know what? I want to do something for the drivers. I want somebody to say, you know what? This is cool being in the pits. So, they give us speedy dry. They give us diesel oil. They get, you see the flags and the signs, and and then they offer up to all the drivers, the pig mats, the rags, the the brake cleaners, the parts washer if needed, and it basically mirrors what they do in the Cup Garage.
Huge value add for the drivers, and hopefully that shows in the product that ends up on the track too for the race fans.
That's right.
We sure appreciate you.
Hang on 1 second. Sorry about that.
No problem. We'll let you go. We know you're at that promotion with the radio station. We appreciate you taking some time out. And we'll catch up with you here soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, see you, Jeff.
Good one.
He's got Boba Flex to listen to over there at the Quaker Steak.
Is that who's playing?
Boba Flex.
When I talked to him earlier before we got here, I had to stop and see him at the dirt office.
Big Smoothie.
And he told me he was going down to Quaker Steak and Lube with the promotion car, and there was a band playing. There was a concert. I said, "Oh, who was?" I go, "Last week they had Hinder there."
Yep.
I go, "Who's playing this week?" He goes, "I don't know." He had no idea.
Yep.
He's honest.
So I was wondering who it was.
How can you argue?
Boba Flex.
Never even heard of him.
And I don't know. Big Willie and the Hubcaps is opening, I'm assuming.
Big Willie and the Hubcaps.
So are you really talking about coming with me to Cuba this weekend in Metal Destruction 4?
It sounds awfully interesting.
He damn near killed me there last year.
And I mean, you're gonna, if you do come, you're gonna work. But
yeah, just bear in mind he damn near killed me there last year. So
wrecked him.
We had some
damn near killed him.
Damn near killed me last year.
We just had some changing of the order of things over there, so now I've got to announce and videotape it, so I'm kind of looking for some stuff to cover. So if you're looking to go, if you can run one of the video cameras and take all the pictures that you want, that would help things a bunch.
Wow.
So just saying.
Say goodbye to everybody you know before you leave, just in case.
Yeah. Lord. Have your affairs in order.
Jeepers. Sounds like a heck of a night.
It's a good time.
It's a good time. Stuff freed up.
Well class, $3,500 to win, 30 cars.
It's interesting.
Derby.
One and done.
It's interesting.
Cuba.
There's a lot of stuff going on, but I will be there.
That sounds beautiful.
It's interesting. That's all I've got to say.
You should.
I should do it.
You should.
All right.
We'll talk.
Okay, we will.
But I know everybody listening to the show has no interest whatsoever in combative motorsports other than Brian Simple, and there's tons of racing coming up, and you alluded to that a little bit earlier, Jay. So, tell us a little bit about that. After, of course, you give us I'll give you a couple minutes on Hall of Fame, but you already squeezed some of it in with Jeff.
I always do. But yeah, we've been counting this thing down for a long time. In 5 days from today, we're going to be inducting the great class of 2013, and obviously 3 great drivers and many of the other folks who've made the sport great. We're going to be lucky enough to induct all those folks 5 days from today in prime time, as Jeff already said. And we've got a lot of great events going on to kind of lead up to that. It's kind of it used to be just induction day. It's kind of turned into induction week, starting off with tomorrow's kickoff, which will be our crafters and farmers market, which will be the second week of that. Last week was bitter cold, but we still had a pretty good turnout. But
this week will be better.
Yeah, 90-degree weather, so a lot of cold beverages will be in full effect. Some barbecue, fresh plants, flowers, veggies, all that kind of stuff going on at the farmers market at the Dirt Motorsports Hall of Fame. Another way we're trying to appeal to the general public. Let's create some race fans for racing as a whole. That's one of the nice side effects that I kind of never thought of when I first got into this deal, and hopefully we're creating some race fans. And follow that up with right back to it Saturday morning. We're going to close the Hall of Fame down at 8:00 p.m. when we send all the crafters and farmers out of the joint, and we're going to open the place back up at 8:30 a.m. the next day for a live radio broadcast of Joe Murata's Around the Tracks. Got 3 great guests lined up for that. Jane Doust, Tana Robinson is a Hall of Famer. She went in 2010. She's going to be. She was kind enough to connect with me today and respond right back to a Facebook message and say, "Jay, I'm going to be pumped up to be on the show on Saturday morning."
We've had Tana on here.
Yeah, we had her on a few weeks back.
Man, she's super. What? There's so many cool people in the sport. Nobody better, not any other, but she's super, man.
She's nobody any better than the 3 here.
Yeah. and also Marsha Wetmore is going to be on as well, and she was pretty pumped up to be on Joe Murata's show. She's known him for probably the better part of a few years, anyways. I'll just leave it at that.
Is the amount of attention that we put on women in racing keeping alive some of the glass ceiling effect, that if we would just accept everybody as a racer, it wouldn't be nearly as big of a deal as everybody seems to make it up to be?
Well, it's
you
not
know what I mean?
It's not the norm yet.
I think it's something we need.
Yeah, until
I'm not saying that that's something that we don't need. I'm just saying, is it necessary to continue to make such a big deal about it? Because there's so many successful women in the sport that I think it is becoming more of a norm. I mean, it's not. It's
slowly but surely, but
yeah.
It's still a big deal if you get one that does something that maybe another woman has never done before.
I just got the vibe
if you want to go into the whole Danica thing, obviously, I mean, there aren't too many women that have been in the Cup Series, so
right,
or raced at a high level.
A big deal.
A lot of the folks that we're talking about, the Wetmores, the Douse, the Tana Robinson, the folks that we're going to be inducting this weekend with the Gator News Women in Racing Awards. These are people who have done these monumental and significant things that have really put this sport in a position where it is, fun and profitable and great, and they're we can't not acknowledge them, and there's no way in heck that this sport would be in a place it is without these guys that we're talking about. Oh, and getting to your question, I think it's still special when we see a female, do exceedingly well. Jessica Zemkin, is the first one that comes to mind. Aaron Crocker and April Wilson, who competes.
Jessica Power, we've had on here a few times.
Yeah, Jessica Power is
she does very well in a sportsman car.
Sure. So it is still special. There is still some power to it. There's some gravitas with it when a female does exceedingly well, and I think it doesn't negate what they're doing by acknowledging it. I think it's still special.
It was nice to see 4 women in the Indy 500 this year.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Which, by the way, was an amazing race.
Yeah. Record number of lead changes.
Yeah,
for sure.
It was
crazy.
Record
Tony
Kanaan.
Kanaan. How can you go wrong with Tony Kanaan?
It was
that was
fantastic
awesome.
to see him win that race. I was so happy. It sucked that it ended under yellow. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But that's Indy. We know it doesn't end under yellow.
Yep.
Like 3 of the last 4 or 3 of the last 5 years, it's ended under yellow. So
sure.
I know that's a factor, and it can be a factor. But to see Kanaan win that thing, that was awesome. He deserved it.
That's a huge payoff. In that sports and that type of racing's biggest division, a guy who's tried 13 times, finally got the win. Kind of similar to Frank Cozy's story, who will be inducting in just 5 short days, who tried for the better part of 3 decades, and finally got that $50,000 to win back in 2008 at Super Dirt Week. So we've got an awesome class going in. We've got a lot of build up to it, and this induction week is going to be slamming. And I'm really super pumped up that it's kind of all coming to fruition. It's a little stressful. I know Jack Spino back at the museum is out of his mind right now, trying to make sure everything is perfect. Nothing ever in life is perfect with racing, as you'll know. I mean, we run it on dirt, so it's never going to be perfect, but hey, that's kind of what we do. We try to put on a perfect event. We shoot right for the stars, and know that if we end up right up next to them, we're going to have a heck of a night, because we're going to have a lot of stars right there at the museum and Hall of Fame on Tuesday night in prime time. We're excited about it.
Speaking of Indy, how about the finish to the Indy Lights race on Friday afternoon?
I heard that was killer.
That was amazing. Amazing.
Yep.
They were the top 4 were nose to tail for the last several laps. And it was like you could tell they were just kind of standing behind the leader, waiting. They were going to wait till the last lap, try to do this slingshot, because they knew if they did it too early, they're going to get passed.
Yeah,
back.
sure.
So they come off of turn 4, and the guy in second finally makes his move. The guy in third makes his move on second. The guy in fourth makes his move on
everybody.
Third, and they all drag race 4 wide down the front stretch, and the guy that was 4th off of turn 4 wins, and the guy that was leading off of turn 4 finished 4th.
That's pretty cool.
It was an amazing finish.
That's pretty cool.
Amazing finish.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, it was an awesome finish.
I don't think
and
you
then
can
the
fit 3 NASCAR side by
fantastic.
side on the first stretch, let alone 4.
Not for long.
They can't go 3 wide on the
You'd
first
end up a demo derby like down in Cuba this coming Saturday.
I mean, they went through 3 and 4, 3 wide. It was crazy.
Yeah,
it was wild finish. But then the Sunday's race was the best as far as the racing as a whole. That was the best 500 I ever remember watching. It was
awesome.
An awesome race. Very, very the most competitive Indy 500 I've ever seen. Record number of different leaders, lead changes.
Well, they were really playing that up. I mean,
lead lap cars. There was still like 20 cars on a lead lap. That's unheard of at the Indy 500.
And it was
usually
just
there's a handful of cars.
Yeah, a few years ago, only 20 cars started the race.
Yeah. And typically, a typical Indy 500, you only got a handful of cars on the lead lap at the end. Most, the rest of the field is lap, 2 laps, 3 laps, 4 laps down. You're just plugging away to the finish.
Right.
And this time, I mean, there was 20 cars on the lead lap, and it wasn't because there was a full of cautions. There was only 5 cautions. 2 early, 1 after like there was over 100 laps of green. The race is only 200 laps.
Yeah.
And then they had 2 late, and it was kind of one in the middle or somewhere. They only ended up having 5 cautions. Of course, the 5th caution was when it ended, but it was an awesome race.
Amazing time to be a race fan. A lot of good racing going on right now, both on TV and at your local tracks. I saw an awesome event on Sunday. I think we talked about it last week, Skyline Raceway.
Yeah, you talked about getting down there.
And I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
I'm glad I did. That was an awesome event, the Ryan Ellis Memorial 37. They had 37 cars show up for a 37-lap race honoring the driver of the car number 37.
Oh, no kidding.
Nice.
His uncle...
did they turn 2 cars away just to make sure they had 37 cars? Or
that's the funny thing. One way or the other.
Ended up that way.
Yeah, it just could have ended up one way or the other on either side of that number, but it just so happened that's the way that it played out. Is his uncle actually tried to qualify his car in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and missed by 1 spot there. They had to run 2 consies for
this
that
was
big
Sportsman?
show. IMCA modifieds.
Okay.
It was actually their Empire Products
Empire State
series.
Race?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a big deal for the IMCA guys, and it was a pleasure to go down and cover it, both doing some driver interviews for DougsDirtDiary.com and taking photographs. A lot of the photographs I took, you guys have probably seen them on Facebook or the other various websites they'll end up on here. But just a great group of guys, and everybody kind of was in on it. There was really a buy-in from every driver that showed up, and a lot of the drivers stepped up themselves and sponsored the race. I know Mike Smith and a big group of the drivers put money into it. Wombat Chassis was a big sponsor.
I love that name.
It is cool. Chassis. Yeah. I mean, that's the great part about we talk about this a lot. The big family of racing, and it's never more true than when you talk about the divisions that we kind of classify as support divisions. But when they get a chance to be the headliner, they do it in an awfully big way down there. It was really awesome to see.
Speaking of headliners, Justin Harris picks up the modified win over at Canandaigua Speedway. That was kind of cool. Good to see him back in victory lanes. It was first time since I think like August 2011.
Yeah,
he was able to get a win over at Canandaigua, and Dan Wiesner got the sportsman win over there. He's both of those are guys that we've had on the show at different times. And then Steve Poirier with another. We talked to Dino about it, and it was another last lap thriller.
Yep.
Over there at Utica Rome on Sunday before Jimmy Phelps ended up picking up the Victoria 200 win. And he had a pack of dogs chasing him, man. It was good to see because it's not like this was one of those rollover. As soon as he gets the lead, he just walked away with it. He had to work for it, and kind of makes it that much more special for him to get that really breakthrough landmark win when he had to hold off all those guys.
Dwayne Howard winning 3 in a row at Grandview. 3 straight.
Who's
Saturday
that?
night. You heard me. That's right.
Is he
3 straight.
Was that like street stocks or something? What?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
Dwayne Howard. He is something, man.
Whatever you want it to be.
Is he coming up to Rolling Wheels?
Why would he go there?
Well, everybody else is.
He doesn't go that far. You know that.
Yeah, I do, but I figured you had some sort
Why
of
would
pull.
you even ask that?
That'd be pretty cool to have a guy.
Just to get that answer because it's fun.
You may see like a Rick Laubach make that trip. I know he's run at Rolling Wheels in the past for the Stars and Stripes events they've had there.
Yeah, Laubach would be one. He'd be a long shot. Somebody that you might see.
Oh, true.
Maybe.
No, I don't think so. Just because if anybody's in the car, it'll be Timmy.
What's his late model schedule look like though for that time frame?
I don't think they've got anything.
This was brought up on Dirt Track Digest yesterday or today. The Dream is this weekend or next weekend? No, it's this weekend. I'm trying to think. Is it this weekend or next weekend?
I'm so lost.
I think it's next weekend.
Yeah.
Next weekend is the Dream, which they changed their qualifying format and stuff now. I think they race on Thursday and Friday, qualifying nights, and then the big race is on Saturday.
Okay.
But the cars, they got to be there for inspection and stuff on Wednesday.
Sure.
That doesn't necessarily mean that Timmy has to be there, though.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He could be able to run Rolling Wheels, I'm thinking, and then
head out.
The car obviously will be on its way. That doesn't necessarily mean he has to be with the car.
T-Mac.
So I have a feeling he'll be at Rolling Wheels.
T-Mac looked awfully good in the modified in his heat race. He was downright dominant at Utica
Monday,
Rome.
yeah.
Yeah, he was downright dominant in that car.
And he had a solid run.
Yeah, oh yeah.
In the feature, but
all the late model guys showed up on Monday. Coffee won, Fuller won his heat, and T-Mac as well. And Fuller led a good chunk of that race, and Coffee was in the hunt. And it was good to see those late model guys show up. And it kind of gives you a little bit of added bonus that one of the our modified stars ended up pulling the win out. Not that it would have been a bad thing necessarily if one of the late model guys kind of came back and took the cheddar.
Right.
But it's kind of cool too that a modified star like Jimmy Phelps was able to kind of protect the home turf and keep some of that money around home.
A lot of big races coming up here in the next week or so too. Obviously Hachmann talked about we got Rolling Wheels opening up next Wednesday for the Hall of Fame race. Also, the USAC Eastern Storm, USAC/ARDC Eastern Storm starts next Wednesday at Grandview. The USAC guys go on to the next night on Thursday to Path Valley, I believe, without ARDC. Friday is a night off. Saturday, ARDC is back with USAC at Port Royal. And then Sunday, they both finish up at Susky. So the Eastern Storm will be, as always, a big, popular swing when the USAC guys make their only trek east through PA. So I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. I was messaged on Facebook today asking me if I was going to bring that up today on the show, and I said, of course.
Yeah,
it's a big deal. And of course,
I put John's mug up there on camera, and he started talking about that, and 4 people logged off.
That's fine.
Oh.
That's fine. Doesn't matter to me.
BlackRock's got monster trucks.
BlackRock's got monster trucks. They also got a Derby. Smashed Empire Films is going to be busy Saturday.
Saw the sign for the monster trucks when we got off the freeway.
It's Friday night with a regular card, and they got the monster trucks, and then Saturday they've got more racing and the monster trucks, and they got the Derby and stuff like that, which is going to be pretty cool. They're going to do a backflip, provided everything goes right. They got a monster truck that's going to attempt a backflip, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, holy cow!
It's something to see if you get the opportunity to see it in person. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, holy cow!
And they're gonna be plenty busy over there. Longtime friend, Derby friend, announcer friend who does monster trucks and motocross all over the place. Steve Bucknam is coming down, and he's going to be working at BlackRock for the monster trucks and for the demolition derby stuff. And then he's bringing the cameras. He covers the North New England area for Smashed Empire Films and goes all over the place taping derbies. And he was in Boston back on May 18th, and he's coming down. He's going to have a buddy with him who's running the cameras for me at BlackRock while I got the other cameras over in Cuba. So it's going to be a busy day.
Wow.
Yeah. A couple of little tidbits of news in the open wheel world, too.
World of Outlaws are running State Line on Saturday.
Late models, right? That's late models.
Yep.
Yes. Open wheel news.
Is there any other?
ARDC regular driver star Alex Bright, who we have had on the show, was announced this week that this past weekend he got an opportunity to run RW Motorsports Midget out in Angel Park Speedway. It's in Wisconsin. And, of course, RW Motorsports is one of the premier flagship cars to drive or organizations to drive for in today's open wheel world. Everybody and their brother's driven for them and had success. Levi Jones, Jerry Coons, Brian Clausen, just a host of people.
Oh, yeah.
He had the opportunity to run the midget this past weekend. Night one, he did solid. He finished, I think, 13th in the feature. Night two was rained out. But it was announced this week that now he will be finishing out the year with RW Motorsports. He will be running the rest of the year with Power Eye. Of course, on given opportunities when his schedule allows, he'll be back running with us at ARDC. But he'll be going to Power Eye, running the remainder of the race or the remainder of the season, and who knows what it may turn into. He could end up in their operation going forward, maybe at Chili Bowl next January or whatever. Who knows? Because when they bring an operation to the Chili Bowl, they bring a first-class deal. They usually have 5 or 6, sometimes 7 cars at Chili Bowl. So
can't imagine.
That's a great opportunity for Alex Bright out of Pennsylvania, a young kid. He's got a lot of talent and a bright future, so it's great to see him in a good first-class, quality, national-known ride. I think they plan on doing some USAC midget shows as well besides Power Eye, so it's pretty cool to see. Great opportunity for that kid, and I know we've had him on the show in the past. Also, it was announced yesterday that Erin Crocker's got a deal with Wix Filters to sponsor a midget. She's going to run 7 or 8 midget races this year with Power Eye, and then they will also sponsor her for the 2014 Chili Bowl. She will be making her second ever appearance at the Chili Bowl. It's been a few years since the last time she was there, so I thought that was pretty cool news because she hasn't done a whole lot of racing the last several years. A little here and there, but see her in a midget is going to be pretty cool.
Sweet.
And also last night I'm sure a lot of people are aware that
About
formerly known as the Kutztown Fairgrounds, Action Track USA, the track that Richie Tobias took over. They opened last week to a great crowd, got part of the show in, and then the rains came. Last night was week 2. They finished last week's program. The Speedster portion was one of the held over features, and
Mike Mahaney won.
Mahaney won the second one.
Yep.
The rained out feature was Scrub, Rick Eckert.
Oh, wow.
Mahaney finished. Billy Pouch Jr. was second. Mahaney was third. This is in the Speedster class, which is a car that Richie Tobias designed several years ago.
They're pretty awesome.
They're neat cars.
Yeah.
They're different. And then the regular schedule feature was Mahaney won. Billy Pouch Jr. was second again. And I forget who. Brightbill? I think it's Kenny Brightbill was third.
Yeah.
Great field of speedsters there on a regular Wednesday night show that Richie Tobias has put together.
Sweet.
Rick Eckert's there, Mike Mahaney, Billy Pouch Jr., Kenny Brightbill, Craig Von Doren, Jeff Strunk, Freddie Raymer Jr., Brian Monteith. I mean, you name it. There's a mixture of all 3 of the big classes here in Northeast Dirt Track Racing are all in a mixture there. It's a pretty cool deal.
Sweet.
And Jeff Strunk, the second race, got on his lid, and they did take him to the hospital with, I guess, a back or a neck injury or something.
Jeepers creepers.
It didn't sound like it was anything serious. Early reports today is that he will be in the car this weekend. So
All right.
Good deal.
hopefully he's okay.
Well, I think we have filled just about everything that we're going to fill. Even with the late start, we still end up squeezing an hour and a half worth of content.
Well, it's that time of year. There's a lot of stuff to talk about now.
There's a lot going on.
Going on.
Yep, and hopefully next week when we get back here, we don't quite have these startup issues that we ran into tonight. But it's part of the game with technology. We got the new studio. We were bound to encounter one or two little gremlins through there. Boy, it was a good show.
Yeah.
It was a good show.
Let's do it again next week.
Yep, we'll be back here next week. Want to say thanks to Jeff Hachmann and William Byron from down in Charlotte. That's going to do it for this edition of the 31st Lap. We're going to see you right back here again next week.
www.fingerlakes1.com